Hello, everyone. My name is DeShaun Williams, and today the topic that I want to speak about is the difference between visibility and structure. Because I believe a lot of entrepreneurs today are building businesses backwards. You may be asking yourself, DeShaun, why would you even say that? Because we live in a world where society says structure doesn't matter. We live in a time where all you hear is build the business, forget the rest. And we are living in a time where entrepreneurship is highly visible. Every day, people are exposed to content about becoming your own boss, building wealth, scaling businesses, creating brands, becoming successful, and creating freedom through entrepreneurship. There is more information available now than ever before. But at the same time, there is also confusion. There is more confusion than ever before. See, most entrepreneurs are being taught how to market themselves before they truly understand how to position themselves. They are learning how to gain attention before they learn how to operate sustainably. They are learning how to create content before they understand how to create structure. Eventually, that catches up to people. And you may be asking, why is that so important? It's important because if you don't position yourself before you go out looking for visibility, well, you create that confusion, not just for yourself, but you create that confusion for people who may have or want to do business with you. You are creating what I like to call the unbeknownst hole. And what that means is slowly digging a hole, kind of like you dig a well. And as you continue to dig yourself into this hole, you don't have the tools needed to get this water from this fresh spring to come back out. You don't have the resources to cover the hole back up. And ultimately, you're bleeding yourself dry because you're giving yourself burnout. You are running on fumes. You're running out of money. You're trying to figure out how to borrow money. You're trying to figure out how to constantly get out of the negative. And one of the biggest lessons entrepreneurship taught me personally is that visibility can temporarily hide dysfunction. A business can look polished publicly while privately lacking clarity, systems, operational structure, communication standards, financial discipline, and long-term sustainability. Why is this so important? This is important because when you build a business and you want to build it completely, you want to build something that's going to withstand everything that comes its way. Well, how can you? We live in a time where AI is so helpful. It's not taking over. It will never take over, I believe, but I do believe that it can be very, very helpful. Why? Because you can take your business idea and you can say, hey, this is my idea, but I need more clarity on this idea. And see, this was something, it's always been around, but it hasn't been as advanced as it is now. And you may be asking yourself, still, why does this matter? Because a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, they start a business, but they don't have a business plan. They don't have a mission statement. They don't have a vision statement. They don't have that 3 to 5 year plan. All they have is an idea, a logo, and a social media page. It's great, but how are you going to market if you don't know what it is that you do? If you don't know the problem that you solve, and if you don't know how to come up with the solution or the solution that you're going to provide for those that have this problem. See, a lot of people will say, well, I don't need a business plan. Not all businesses need a business plan, but it's helpful because it allows you to go step by step of what you do. It allows you to see what your vision is for your business, what the mission is for the business. What's your what's your mantra? What's your tagline? A lot of people don't have one. The next thing is, do you do you have contracts that protect you and your clients? If you said no, well, legally, you're kind of already suffering. The reason why is because depending on what you do, you got to have certain contracts in place. You got to have those legal binding contracts when you do service. What's your refund policy? Do you have a contract for this? Do you take in sensitive information? Need an NDA for that. Let's, do you have if you're a coach, do you have a coaching agreement? Do you state how long it takes for everything to get done? Yes, no, maybe. No or maybe, you need to go back and reevaluate. See, this is something I had to learn. And I had to learn this early in my entrepreneur journey. Because I was like a lot of entrepreneurs. You had that ambition, you had that vision, had the ideas, had the motivation, but not yet fully developed the strategic understanding necessary to build something intentionally. See, like many entrepreneurs, we believe that constant movement automatically means progress. We think that being busy means that you're growing. And we tend to think that having multiple ideas means that we're expanding. But over time, you will realize that there is a major difference between movement and alignment. And when you come to that realization, it changes the way that you approach entrepreneurship completely. You begin understanding that entrepreneurship is not simply about creating something people can see, but it's about building something that can function consistently, even under pressure. That's what's really important. Being able to function even when you're under pressure. It's about creating systems that support growth. It's about understanding operations, communication, positioning, leadership, and sustainability. It's about learning how to make intentional decisions instead of emotional ones. And honestly, emotional decision making is probably one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face today. See, many people are building businesses while constantly comparing themselves to what they see online or what they hear or the fact that they don't have a six-figure business yet. They compare timelines, followers, revenue, visibility, and momentum without understanding the realities happening behind the scenes. Social media is one of the problems. Why? Because social media often rewards appearance before sustainability. And because of that, entrepreneurs began feeling pressure to rush growth before they are structurally prepared for it. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they're looking good, they're looking successful because social media allows it to. Social media tends to show you the good, but never shows you the bad. It shows you what happens on the outside, but never what happens on the inside. It shows you the good of the outside. It never shows you the late nights, the phone calls, and the person constantly asking themselves, am I doing this correctly every single day? But sustainable businesses are rarely built through rushing. They are built through clarity. They are built through consistency. They are built through refinement, and they are built through disciplined decision making over time. One of the phrases I love to say is, you're chasing validation, I'm chasing alignment. That's why we don't move the same, because we're not in the same climate. And what does that mean? That means that validation focuses on appearances, while alignment focuses on sustainability. Validation often causes entrepreneurs to perform success publicly while privately struggling operational. Alignment forces entrepreneurs to ask deeper questions about whether their business model, systems, communications, services, and overall direction actually make sense for the long haul and for the long term. That shift and perspective became and should become extremely important for you because you eventually realize that you do not want to build something that only looks successful from the outside, but you want to build something that actually functions, that is actually function well operationally and strategically. And that requires slowing down at times. What all does it require? Slowing down, reevaluating decisions. Be- It requires becoming more disciplined. It requires becoming more intentional. And it requires understanding that growth without structure creates instability. As entrepreneurs, we also have to learn that entrepreneurship is deeply connected to personal development, whether others acknowledge it or not. Let me say that again. Entrepreneurship is deeply connected to personal development, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. How, you may ask? The way you think, the way you communicate, the way you handle pressure, Your discipline and your emotional stability all affects your business. How you react to these things, the way that you think. Do you think positive or do you always think negatively? If you think negatively, then your business will run negatively. How do you communicate with people? Are you empathetic or are you a straight up jerk? How do you handle pressure? Do you crack under pressure? Are you disciplined enough to say, hey, we need to get something on the books this week? Or if you don't have anything on the books that week, you don't promote, you don't talk about, you don't try to reach out to be on other platforms. You just sit there and watch TV or play video games or hang out with friends and go drinking on the weekends and spending all your money. So how disciplined are you? How emotional stable are you? I'll be the first to say, I struggle with anxiety and depression, and I have ADHD. So emotionally, sometimes I'm all over the place. But no matter what, I'm always locked in. Are you locked in? See, eventually, every weakness in leadership begins showing up operational somewhere within the business itself. And that is why self-awareness is so important for entrepreneurs. There's going to be seasons in the journey where you're going to try to maintain momentum while you're privately carrying pressure, uncertainty, and responsibility all at the same time. And you have to learn very quickly that burnout does not always appear dramatically. Sometimes burnout appears as confusion. Sometimes it can appear as inconsistency or lack of creativity, emotional exhaustion, or poor decision making. That experience, it teaches that sustainability matters more than performance. See, performance can create temporary moments, while sustainability creates longevity. And longevity requires structure, it requires boundaries, it requires systems, operational clarity, strategic thinking, patience, and understanding that not every opportunity deserves your attention simply because it looks appealing publicly. One of the most important mindset shifts entrepreneurs can make is understanding that slower, intentional growth is often healthier than fast, unstable growth. And in today's culture, there is tremendous pressure to scale quickly, become highly visible quickly, and achieve major results immediately. But long-term businesses are rarely built emotionally, impulsively, and overnight. Most sustainable, most sustainable businesses are built through years of refinement, adjustment, learning, discipline, and consistency. And I think more entrepreneurs need permission to build correctly instead of simply building quickly. Because eventually visibility alone stops working. Eventually the branding has to connect to functionality. The messaging has to connect to operations. And eventually, the business owner has to understand how to lead what they've built. And leadership is another important part of entrepreneurship that often gets overlooked. See, leadership, a lot of people say, oh, I built a business because I want to be my own boss. That's great. But leadership is not simply about influence of authority. Leadership is about responsibility, it's about decision making, it's about maintaining clarity during uncertainty, creating stability for both yourself and the people connected to your business and those who come to you to do business with you. Strong leadership requires emotional maturity, strategic thinking, communication skills, and the ability to remain grounded while navigating pressure. Entrepreneurs who focus on building strong, intentional foundations will always have a stronger chance at long-term sustainability than entrepreneurs who focus only on external visibility. If I could just leave you with one final perspective today, it's going to be this. Do not become so focused on being seen that you forget to build something worth sustaining. Remember, build intentionally, build strategically, build patiently, and build with clarity. Because strong businesses are not built on ideas alone, they are built on structure, discipline, communication, consistency, leadership, and intentional decision making repeated time and time and time again. Thank you so much for your time today.